What is wrong with RFK Jr.'s voice? I make a lot of RFK content. All right, it's true. Sue me, get over it. But I swear so many comments are about RFK Jr.'s voice. If you don't believe me, look for yourself. Here's my TikTok page. I'm searching for comments with the word voice in it. Okay, that's about Dave Chappelle. Okay, look at this. I'm thinking about all the South Park episodes where they would be making fun of his voice. Okay, that'd be kind of funny. I never really thought about that, but they would 100% be making fun of his voice. It's true. What is with his voice? No disrespect, totally fine comment. He should focus on his health. His voice is going out without even doing rallies. So many people are asking about his voice. I decided to make a video. I did make a short video about this before. It was like less than a minute long, and it was just really straight to the point, but I want this to be a little bit more comprehensive. So first of all, everyone here probably already knows RFK Jr. He's an independent candidate running for president. His uncle was John F. Kennedy. He was the 35th president of the United States. He spent decades as an environmental lawyer. He's done a lot of good for the environment. He's a successful lawyer. He's written many books about public health, and he has just been a long-time fighter for the American people, and now he's running for president, and people are critiquing his voice. And here's him explaining exactly what's wrong with his voice. Have a listen.
Let's get this part out of the way. Your voice is raspy. Why don't you explain to our audience why?
I had a very, very strong voice till I was 46 years old. It was unusually strong, and even at that time, I was making a lot of my income doing public speaking, and I could speak to large halls without any amplification. And then in 1996, when I was 42 years old, I got struck with a disease, a neurological disease, an injury called spasmodic dystonia, and it makes my voice tremble. And I actually, at the time, I didn't know what was wrong with it, but when I would go on TV, people would write me letters and say, "You have spasmodic dystonia, and you should see Dr. Blitzer, who is the physician who was most famous for treating it." And I ultimately went to see him, and he confirmed that I had the diagnosis. So it makes it. I think it makes it problematical for people to listen to me. I cannot listen to myself on TV. I will never listen to this broadcast, and I won't listen to any. So I feel sorry for you guys having to listen to me.
All right. So what is spasmodic dysphonia? Well, a quick Google search shows that it's a neurological voice disorder that affects the voice muscles in the larynx voice box, causing it to spasm. And these spasms cause the voice to be interrupted or affect the voice quality, causing it to have a tight, strained, breathy, whispery, or strangled quality. And if you could bear with me for 1 second and think about this in the most simple way possible, if you make a circle with your hand, and if you just consider this the voice box, right? Whenever you make a fist and you close it, well, this is pretty much what spasmodic dysphonia does. And sometimes it just makes like a really closed fist. So it makes it hard for a voice to actually go through it, making the voice sound trembling. And another question that I would have if I was on that side of the camera would be, okay, well, he said it started whenever he was 46. What did he sound like before? So here's RFK Jr. in 1994, whenever he was about 40 years old, years before this disorder really started taking form. Have a listen.
To convince people they own this river, and they do. The people of New York State own the river. It used to be King George III of England owned the river. But when after the Revolution, that ownership descended to the people of the state of New York, and it says that in our Constitution. And if somebody puts something in that river that injures the fish, and we have less fish to take out of the river, that's an act of theft, and they ought to be prosecuted for larceny. And if somebody dumps something into the river that's poison, and it goes into a drinking water intake, and children drink that drinking water, that is child abuse, and that person ought to be prosecuted for child abuse.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. And if you're curious to see how his voice evolved with the disorder throughout the years, this is him in approximately 2014.
Since, I published an article, I think in 2003 in the Atlantic Monthly about the case after the trial. And after that, I was contacted by one of the people, by a man named Toby Bryant, who is actually a cousin of the basketball player Kobe Bryant.
So here you could still very clearly hear his voice, but as more time goes on, the disorder is just becoming a little bit more noticeable. And unfortunately, with Kennedy getting more exposure these days and his visibility is just increasing, more and more people are starting to speak out about his voice. And I do think these are fair questions. If RFK becomes president, this is the voice that America is going to need to listen to for the next 4 years. But more importantly than the voice is the substance behind the voice, or the words he is actually saying, I think at least. Who he is speaking for, who he is fighting for, the values, the message behind his voice. Like, this is the substance here. So the question then becomes, does the voice matter? And honestly, that's only a question that you can answer yourself. I already know what a lot of people have to say. I mean, look at this. Man, I don't care about politics, but I don't know if I could hear a State of the Union address unless someone changes the batteries in his voice box. Like, come on. Another person says, yes, another guy beyond retirement age with a shaky voice and questionable ethics. Even another person says, I can't live 4 years hearing his voice. I'm sorry. You don't need to be sorry. This is all your opinion. Much like RFK Jr., you also have a voice, and I would love to hear your voice represented in the comments down below. Tell me what you think about all this. Do you think his voice is going to negatively impact his campaign? Do you think it's going to turn off voters? Do you think he's going to be successful with his voice? Do you believe that the American public will be able to look past the vanity of the sound and into the substance of what he is saying? I would love to know your thoughts about this. Please let me know in the comments down below. And please consider liking and subscribing if you want to keep being part of the conversation. Thanks for watching.